In August of 2022, a remastered version of the 1999 platformer Pac Man World was released. Playing this game was a fun throwback to simpler times, and ever since then I've wondered if the 2002 sequel, Pac Man World 2, would get the same treatment. Let's check out this fun, wacky, and challenging game from start to finish to see why Pac Man World 2 deserves a remake. A quick note, I'm playing this on the 2004 PC port, which has some annoying graphical bugs, but hey, it's free to download. Let's get right into this. The opening cutscene takes place in the Pac Village at night as the four classic ghosts steal the golden fruit, unwittingly freeing the evil ghost, Spooky. One of Pac-Man's ancestors defeated Spooky long ago and imprisoned him below the tree using the golden fruit to maintain the enchantment. Since the ghost gang stole the fruit, we have to gather them back and imprison Spooky once again. It's a simple story, but I love that it gives us the premise to go to several themed areas of the world. This is one of my favorite tropes in platformer games. Something about having different themes for different areas just tickles my brain in a way that I can't explain. The game begins in Pac Village, where we can test out the movement controls and explore town. After running around collecting fruit and Pac dots for a few minutes, I head out the gate to the first real level. This game has an overworld system similar to the classic Mario games, and I love it, even though it's completely linear. Our first level of the Meadows is the bare basics. This short level acts as a tutorial, teaching the player how to butt bounce, rev roll, flip kick, use buttons, and the swimming mechanics. Enemies like these bears can be defeated by butt bouncing on their heads, or in the ghost's case, you need to eat a power pellet and then run into them while they glow blue, just like in the original. Hitting this switch reveals a Pac dot chain, a common mechanic used to get Pac-Man to different parts of the levels. It's pretty ridiculous looking. After gathering many more collectibles, I make it to the end of the level, signified by these glowing sparkles. The next level, Canyon Chaos, introduces these bottomless pits, these little dragon enemies, and this annoying giant bear that requires rev rolling 3 times to take him down. In this level, we see the first big problem that needs to be fixed if they remaster this game. The camera. Sometimes the camera can be moved by the player, indicated by this green icon here, and other times the camera is fixed, indicated by this icon. Sometimes the free moving camera will get stuck on objects, and when it transitions between free and fixed cam, it can really mess with you. On several occasions, the camera messed with my depth perception, and I couldn't tell how far away things were, which is pretty important in a platforming game. We'll see this issue come up again and again in this playthrough. This cliff edge is just the beginning. Camera complaints aside, after defeating the giant bear, I unlock my first Galaxian maze. Finding these icons unlocks a classic type Pac-Man maze that, when completed, gives you a free checkpoint and a bonus token. After navigating the narrow canyon, I make my way to the end, shrink like Alice in Wonderland, and walk through this crack in the wall to the next level. Pac Dot Pond is a lovely level. I really enjoy the cozy atmosphere of the fog and the shallow waters. Not too much to say about this one. It's simple, straightforward, and probably my favorite level in the Meadows. Moving on, we face our first boss, Blinky the Orange Ghost. He pilots this mechanical frog thing and tries to stick us with a spiky tongue. After butt bouncing on the wooden frame a few times, he uses a steel frame. So I jump on it and rev roll into the machine a few more times to finish the fight. We defeated Blinky and got the golden cherry. Now we move on to the forest. Bedoying Woods opens this area nicely. Immediately we're introduced to the butt bounce pads. Red ones send you up a short distance, while the blue ones absolutely send you. I love that the camera stays positioned above Pac-Man. This is good. The forest levels really give you a sense of scale with these massive areas that you traverse with the bounce pads. These are some of the best levels in the game. The next level, Treewood Forest, is similar to the previous level, but this time we're introduced to these saw blades. Reaching the end of Treewood Forest, I enter the last main level for the forest area, Butane Pain. This level has some seriously butt-clenching moments, like navigating these tight ropes and trying to climb my way around this ledge. Next up is the boss for this region, Inky's Blade-O-Matic. This boss is tougher than the first, but it's still really easy. I hit him with some butt bounces on the head and some rev rolls to the body, and he goes down in less than a minute. I grab the golden strawberry and move on to the snowy mountain. Ice River Run is a pretty challenging level. Early on, we're introduced to a new enemy, the rev roll ram. To take them down, I first hit them with a rev roll, then follow it up with a butt bounce. Not that difficult, but surprisingly annoying. The atmosphere for this level is pretty cool. The snowy environment's a nice change of pace, and the ghosts even have little mittens and hats to stay warm. Aww. This ice part is so annoying though. Firstly, the Pac dots are positioned in such a way that it's really difficult to get them all in one sitting. Secondly, some of these jumps above the ice water are just barely possible. After finally making my way to the top, I defeat the grizzly bear guarding the exit and move on to Avalanche Alley. This level features the player running toward the camera while a giant avalanche follows. If it touches you, you die. It's really frustrating for completionists because you can't go back and grab any items you missed. You have to play it perfectly. It's do or die. It's cool that you can see how close the avalanche is to you, but this perspective is just terrible for making precise jumps. Look at this spot. I mean, I'm trying to reach the pack dot chain, but because of this perspective, it messes with my depth perception. I miss the red dot and fall to my death. Moving on to Blade Mountain, this is one of my favorite levels in the game. We're given a pair of ice skates and skate our way down the mountain. It's so fun to build up speed, taking jumps and flip kicking these floating boxes. Like the previous level, you can't go back to get missing collectibles, but I don't mind because this level is just too fun. A nice little way to end this region. Now it's time for the boss, Pinky's Revenge. This boss fight is extremely similar to the previous one, and it's just as easy. There are these pads down here for butt bouncing, but I don't even use them. I just rev roll into her machine until it breaks. Grabbing the golden apple, I move on to the volcano. This is the hardest section of the game, and Into the Volcano definitely sets the tone. We have these new little enemies that explode, pushing you off ledges. Then there are these flying fireballs and volcanic vents as well, and the camera really doesn't do you any favors here. Pro tip, if you're stuck not able to move the camera, use the rev roll to force the camera behind you. That level was tough, but we're just getting started. Volcanic Panic's gimmick is that you have to use the steel power-up to cross the lava, but if you sink into the lava, you won't be able to jump properly and you'll fall to your death. I usually just rev roll along the walls for this part because actually jumping through the lava here is annoying. There are these platforms you have to rev roll on to make them move, but then the game puts these fireballs right in your path. Then there's this bit where you have to rev roll off a tiny little ramp to make it to the next platform, except I overshoot it and grab the far side. The platform begins to fall and the camera screwed me, so I couldn't see where I was supposed to go. Magma Opus is a pretty fun level actually. It has some challenging but fair platforming, including this section where you have to grab a steel power-up to take care of this lava golem. I like this level and it would be a highlight for me except for this section at the end. The first couple parts aren't that bad, but this last bit right before the end of the level is just atrocious. The controls are at the same time too sensitive and not responsive enough. It really took me a while to figure this one out. I died 8 times in a row in this section. If this game gets a remaster, they really need to fix this section because it's just straight up BS. Now we have the most challenging boss in the game, Clyde in the Caldera. You can't rev roll into his body for one, and there aren't any bounce pads, so you have to wait until he flies down low enough so you can butt bounce on him. He shoots these fireballs that leave flames for a while where they hit, and the outer platforms can only be reached by rev rolling. Furthermore, when he's in the last stage, the hitbox on his head is really weird and for some reason I can't get the last hit on him. Eventually I finally hit him in the right spot and he goes down, giving me the golden pair. Moving on to the ocean, this is probably my least favorite region in the game. The first level, Scuba Duba, while it has a fun name, demonstrates the frustrating thing about this part of the game. You're forced to progress at a consistent pace, you don't control your speed, the only control you have is to go up, down, left, right, or spin into enemies and boxes. If you miss collectibles, you can't go back. It's not that fun, it's not very challenging, and it just feels tedious. If this game gets remade, I'd love to see a water section where you can use the swimming mechanics that they introduced in the first level, but then they never used it again. Isn't that weird? They designed this whole swimming mechanic just to abandon it in favor of this on-rails stuff. Anyways, swimming along, I dodge mines, explosive barrels, sharks, and electric eels, finally making it to the end of the level. The next level, Shark Attack, is more of the same, except there are more sharks as you'd probably guess. I don't really have much to say about this level, it's pretty forgettable. Moving on to Yellow Pac Marine, nice reference, it introduces the Pac Sub. Like the previous levels, I'm forced to move at a consistent pace, but instead of spinning into enemies, I can fire torpedoes at them. It's an interesting little gimmick. The ghosts pilot these little shark-shaped submersibles, and they shoot back at me while I dodge mines and these random pipes all over the open ocean. Eventually, after blowing up enough ghost subs, I reach the level exit. Time for the boss. Whale on a sub is similar to the last level, except periodically I have to fight the giant submarine filled with all 4 ghosts that I previously defeated. In between dodging enemies, pipes, and mines, I shoot the propellers off the sub one by one until eventually it goes down. Seeing it descend into the black abyss like that with no music is pretty dang creepy. After grabbing the golden banana, I make my way to the final region of this game, Ghost Island. Haunted Boardwalk is a fun level with a gimmick similar to Blade Mountain. This time I have rollerblades instead of ice skates, and I can go back for some of the missed collectibles. This level's pretty fun. Rolling around, making these really long jumps is so satisfying, and unlike the previous missions, the gimmick doesn't overstay its welcome. The only thing I don't like about this level is that it's really hard to get all the collectibles because of these platforms that fall as soon as you land on them. Other than that, this level is a great time. Night crawling is probably my favorite level in this region. It's not too frustrating, introduces new enemies like these skeletons, and features some fun and straightforward platforming. I don't really have too much to say about it. It's just a simple, fun level that brings brings in several elements from throughout the game. The next level, Ghost Bayou, is a different story. The penultimate level of Pac Man World 2 is a giant maze where you have to get to the tree in the center, but holy moly is this a frustrating level. Firstly, the platforms you run on look very similar to the water that kills you instantly. Secondly, there's this annoying section where you have to kill 20 skeletons in 30 seconds, and it's just barely doable. You have to do it while navigating this tiny little path, and it's seriously difficult. I like the challenge, but they should have made their timer a little bit longer. The worst part of this level is that there are parts where you can jump to areas that look like possible secrets, but if you make it, it breaks the level. I did this in my playthrough, and it took me so long to figure out that I wasn't supposed to be here yet. By the time I finally made it back to where I was supposed to be and finished the level, I had spent 40 minutes on this level alone. For context, the most I'd spent on any level prior to this was maybe 12 minutes. The final level, Spooky, takes place back at Pac Village. With his plan foiled, Spooky decides to handle us personally, sending the golden fruit tree and us with it flying into the sky. This fight is the best in the game. Spooky can shoot several varieties of fireballs, summon enemies, and send out a flaming trail that chases us down. I wait until he's low enough to hit him with a jump kick. After enough hits, he finally goes down, and I imprison him again beneath the golden fruit tree. In the final cutscene, the 4 ghosts hide nearby, but my faithful dog Chomp Chomp eats some pellets and chases them away. All is well in Pac Village, and we all live happily ever after. There's still plenty more to this game though. Every level has a time trial that, if you beat the level fast enough, will give you a bonus token to spend at the arcade. Speaking of the arcade, let's take a look here. The classic Pac-Man from 1980 is the first we unlocked, and it plays exactly like it should. The next I unlocked is 1983's Pac Attack, a surprisingly fun Tetris clone with a Pac-Man gimmick. Another game is 1987's Pac Mania, similar to the classic, but you can jump over ghosts and other obstacles. This one's probably my favorite. You can also unlock Miss Pac-Man for 180 tokens, which is an insane amount. Also in the arcade is a jukebox where you can play any of the songs from any of the levels in the game, and you can play any of the Galaxian mazes here too if you found them in the levels. Across the village from the arcade is the museum, which you can unlock for 150 tokens. If you decide to grind this out, you're rewarded with a photo reel showing some concept art and a picture of the dev team. If Pac Man World 2 gets a remake, these are the flaws that I think should be fixed. First and most importantly, the camera needs to be updated to always allow the player to move it however they want. Second, the boss fights for the Ice Mountain and Volcano should be reworked to make them more different from the Forest boss. At least fix the hitbox in the Clyde fight. Third, the camera on Avalanche Alley should be positioned behind the player. Fourth, fix this annoying section at the end of Magma Opus. Fifth, the entire ocean region should be reworked to allow for more freedom of movement and more interesting levels. Finally, the Ghost Bayou level should be fixed to prevent accidental sequence breaking. Pac Man World 2 is a very fun and charming little game that lots of people have nostalgia for. I really hope that a remake is in the works. What do you think? Do you remember this game fondly, or is this the first time you've heard of it? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out for now.